this video, we are going to learn about finding function values. Okay, you can think of a function, like in this picture here, as a machine. What you are putting into the function is going to be your inputs. Then it's like the bulk of the machine, the picture of the machine, does all this mathematical operation and then outputs the y value, which is also called f of x. So your x value is your input. You do the math, and it outputs your f of x or y value. So let's look at how this works. So we have a function, f of x equals 5x plus 2. It wants us to find f of 3. So what that means is you are going to replace the x in this function with that 3. So in other words, you are finding f of 3. So again, replace the x. So I'll have 5. Replace the x with 3 plus 2. So we have input the 3. Now we're going to do the machine part of this operation, which means do the math. So 5 times 3 gives me 15. Bring down that plus 2. So now I have 15 plus 2, which gives me 17, which means f of 3 equals 17. All right, let's look at this next example. My function in example 3a, the f of x equals 3x squared plus 2x, and it wants me to find f of negative 2. So you'll notice this function has multiple x's. You're just going to do the same thing. You're going to replace the x's with the value that's in this parentheses, which is negative 2. So 3 times negative 2 squared plus 2 times negative 2. Now we do the machine part, which is do the math, following your order of operations, which means you will need to do this exponent first, because that comes before multiplication in the order of operations. So negative 2 squared means negative 2 times itself. So I've got 3 times negative 2 squared is 4. Then I'm just going to bring the rest down. My next order of operations will take me to the multiplication part of this. 3 times 4 gives me 12, plus 2 times negative 2 gives me negative or minus 4, and then 12 minus 4 gives me 8. So I have f of negative 2, which gives me 8. Okay, in this next example, sometimes they don't call it f of x when they're talking about a function. They'll interchange the letters. The process is the same. So in example 3b here, your function is g of t equals 6t plus 9. And it wants me to find g of 4. So in this example, that means I'm going to replace the t in this function with what's in that parentheses, which is a 4. So when I do that, I'll have 6, replace the t with the 4, so 6 times 4 plus 9, 6 times 4 gives me 24 plus 9. 24 plus 9 gives me 33. So G of 4 equals 33. All right, looking at example 3C. I have my function is h of x equals 8x plus 1. And I need to find h of m plus 2. So the process is exactly the same. I am replacing the x in this function with what is in the parentheses. What is in the parentheses is what you are inputting into this machine. So I have 8, replace the x with the new input, which is m plus 2, bring down the plus 1. Now, let the machine do its work. In other words, let's do the math. I will distribute the 8. So now I have 8m plus 8 times 2 gives me 16 plus 1. I have like terms I can combine. So let's see, that's the only m, but I can combine the 16 and the 1 to get 17. So h of m plus 2 is equal to 8m plus 17. All right, the last one that we're going to work like this is example 3D. My function is g of x equals 5x squared minus 7x. My input, what I'm going to replace the x's with, is this a plus h. Okay, so this one is a little bit more involved. So I'm replacing both of these x's with a plus h. So I've got 5. Replace that x with a plus h squared minus 7 times a plus h. Okay? The first thing I'm going to have to do, again, following this order of operations, is that squared. What I am squaring is what is in that parentheses. So I am squaring a plus h, which means I need to multiply. I'm going to do it over here to the side. A plus h times itself. Okay, so I'm going to have to distribute or FOIL this. My first thing is I'm going to distribute the a to both of the terms in the second parentheses. So a times a gives me a squared. Then the outer, my a times h, gives me plus ah. And then I'll distribute the h to both of these. So h times a gives me another ah. And then h times h gives me positive h squared. Okay? Now, these terms here are like terms. They are both AH's. When you put them together, you actually have 2 of those terms. So I've got a squared plus 2 AH's plus the h squared. So that is what I'm going to put when I have a plus h squared. I am just going to bring everything else down. So I've got 5, where I have the a plus h squared, I did over here on the right, and I got a squared plus 2 ah plus h squared. And again, I'm just bringing everything else down. So minus 7 times a plus h. I'll distribute this 5. So I have 5 a squared. 5 times 2 gives me plus 10 AH, plus 5 times H squared gives me 5H squared. And then I'll distribute this negative 7. So I've got minus 7A and then minus 7H. So once I have distributed, I'm looking for like terms that I would be able to combine. But in order to be a like term, you have to have a same variable, and those variables have to have the same exponents. And when I am looking through here, there are no other a squareds like the 5a squared. There are no other AH's besides that positive 10. And same thing down the line. None of those terms are like terms. So there would be nothing to combine.